I am actually really excited about this video. It is a miscellaneous video. I actually have no idea where to even categorize this outside of truly miscellaneous. But this video is to talk about my book kits, which are these things. I'm Quinn Moone. I write queer historical fantasy and queer fairy tales. And as a result, I actually do a ton of research. So I want to talk about how I organize that. I'll talk about these in a moment. This is literally a bin that you can get at like Dollar General. You can get them, I'm sure, at Dollar Tree. I actually used to have a Dollar Tree box. Oh, what's this doing? Okay. I actually used to have one from Dollar Tree, but these from Dollar General are slightly more sturdy, and I like the way that the lid is. It feels sturdier. Put a mustache on mine. I'm putting stickers on it because I like stickers. So I had some from Dollar Tree, but one of them broke, I think, in the move, and I needed one for this guy because my other box had the Tale of Genji stuff in it. So these I use, let's reset. These book kits I use for books that I am going to have like an extensive amount of output from. I'm gonna be asking questions, generating hypotheses, and trying to draw my own conclusions about certain things that I'm trying to accomplish with the book, right? The last book I did this with was the Tale of Genji because I had the book, which was fairly substantial. I had a few other supplemental texts, a couple of other sheets that I'm gonna show you guys. And then within it, I had my little annotation kit. So this has my pens, pencil, erasers, highlighters, a lot of highlighters, sticky notes. I even have scissors in here in case I need to just cut something tape. So this is my little annotation kit that I have for normal stuff. And by normal, I mean like sad gay summer. I'm not trying to write a hypothesis or any essays or trying to draw any substantial conclusions during my sad gay summer reading, although I'm pretty sure I could. So this suffices. I kind of just grab this and I grab my little sad gay book and off we go to have a little tragic reading time, right? This is for stuff that's taking up a lot more of my time, a lot more of my resources. The Tale of Genji turned itself into what it is because of the reading that I was doing. And that's when I started the book kits. It actually started with me being stuck in Chicago with nothing. So this was like my emergency book box. And now it's my emergency book kit that I want to talk about. Yes. Okay. That is what I want to talk about. Oh, wait. Oh, I have something else. Wait. Oh, this box is heavy. Hold up. I'm so clever. Hold up. Now, we are officially ready. Also part of the process. Maybe I should put this in like a behind the scene. And like, I'm trying to get comfy and I cross my legs every time I move. I'm like, wait, get comfy again. Okay, the book kit. Let's talk about it. First, I identify, is this book going to require substantial investments of my time, effort, energy, and is there going to be a high level of output, which could be note-taking, which could be even vlogging, a chapter-by-chapter breakdown, which I'm doing for the historical nonfictions and things of that nature. And if the answer is yes, we get a little box. And in this little book kit, we carry the following. You guys don't understand how nerdy I am. You don't understand how excited I am to be talking about this because I'm like, this is so cool. I should tell people about it, but who's gonna listen? You know, you can just click away. That's the beautiful part. I'm not bothering anybody and it's a beautiful thing. Okay. First, we have the thick book itself. So this is for books that are going on 1,000 to 2,000-ish pages. This one is right at 1,000. So substantial, chunky boys that are going to take a lot of my time, energy, a lot of annotation, which obviously this has been doing. And since, I guess I'll finally talk about this. But since these books are specifically for outputs or specifically for heavy amounts of research, I also create with each book my little, y'all, I'm so clever. My little Quinndex. I know. Be still, it's fantastic. Okay, depending on what I'm trying to accomplish, I first have to identify what I'm trying to accomplish. What am I trying to get out of this book, out of this experience, out of the essays in these books, for example? Like in the Tale of Genji, I had one cohesive thesis and I needed to find supporting text and documentation to, support the thesis that I'm trying to write. So the Quinndex for the Tale of Genji had a very different purpose, had very different headers. For my Bronze Age retelling, I was specifically looking at things for trade routes, things for like economies, women, historians, things like that. So the Quinndex changes based on the book that I'm reading. I have thus actually identified kind of 3 or 4 universal headers that seem to be a pattern in every nonfiction that I read that are the same, because those are the kind of 3-4 pillars of my research that are consistent regardless of what I am reading, especially for research for my stories. Research for like the Tale of Genji, like I said, very different. But for the book kit, we first have the book, and then I create this little Quinndex, and then I fill out said Quinndex as I go reading, right? So we got the book, like so. After that, because of the level of research that I am conducting on my own, yes, this is all on my own, I have for every single book kit, right now I have 2. I'll probably eventually, I think 2 is fine, because 2, the level of research that I'm doing, I can't carry on too many things in parallel, because then the quality of the research, the note-taking, the annotations, the questions that are generated begin to suffer. So at some point there is a poor or negative ROI. So right now I only have 1 active book kit. I might eventually have 2, because next year I'm going to start with the Renaissance one. So my next book hit will probably be the Renaissance, and then for a month I'll have 3 because I'm going to read the Tale of Genji for March of Madness. I have to get through that book. I've invested so much. I'm going to get through that book. I recommend having 1, max 2 book kits in progress. But for each kit that I have kind of just pre-made so that I can just stick a book in there and be ready to go, I also have a spiral bound notebook. In these notebooks is where I take all of my notes. Now I have separated, I have a 5 subject one on purpose. So these are for the Oxford Aegean. I will continue this particular section for the Oxford Handbook. And then over here, I have other books that I'm researching as well that need their own note-taking, their own like just stuff to work out. But I don't want this to conflict with the space I've allocated for the Oxford Handbook. That's why I have a 5 subject separated notebook, so that I can realistically read the 1,000 page behemoth, and I can also read other supporting texts throughout the same month and keep all of my notes in one place. So for each book kit, I have its own corresponding notebook. You can also get these, this is from, I'm in Texas, so this is from H-E-B, so that's why it's a little larger, but the other book kit has one from Dollar General, and it does have a smaller one. So into the book kit it goes. I also have a folder that I have to like put together where I put loose papers that like just come about. So I collect everything in a bound and folder. Like I take a paper folder, I close it off, and then I use it as like a pocket so that I can also put in the book kit. I just don't have that with me yet. I haven't put it together. But that's like on the side, that's extra. And then for the book kit, we get its own little baggie. Also from Dollar General, you can get them at Dollar Tree. This is a much less cute version of this adorable little guy. In an ideal world, I want one of these per kit. But these are also like, this was $1 versus like 10, 13, 15, depending on the one that you want for these. So I will eventually have one per book kit, but I also was like in a rush, trying to save money and be economical, so I will buy these for myself. Maybe as I complete a book kit, I will buy it for myself as a reward, like a cute little pencil baggie. But not the point. We have the utensils for the book kit, and each baggie, although a different color, has kind of the same content. I have its own little tabbies. These tabbies are just like, I don't use these tabs as much as I used to. So these are mostly for very important components or very important pieces of the literature that I want to call out, that I can very quickly, like, this is about the Trojan War, tab, tab, tab. I can go to those chapters, those essays very quickly. Within that, I have my little eraser, also from Dollar General for like $1. I think I got like 3 in a pack. So it could be a pink pearl, it could be one of these little white ones, it could even be, my friend got me an eraser that was in the shape of a book from Dollar Tree. So these are also just like $1. These are not expensive, but they help organize researching so much. Into the baggie that goes. This was also $1 for like a pack of 4, I think, at Walmart or something like that. A mechanical pencil, just because sometimes I want to write in pencil before I like put everything in stone. So a mechanical pencil, its own little eraser, and into the baggie that goes. I also need to buy more lead, but I'm like, oh, I'm okay right now. I'll get that like next month. I also make my purchases like monthly when I like look at the backlogs that I need, the books that I'm gonna get. Not the point here, but that's how I do it. Even if it is $1, like I try to be frugal because I know my books are expensive. If I can save $1 in this little pencil, I want to save it for the next book that I need to buy, right? Because I annotate so much, I actually have 2 to 3 highlighters. I already finished one. I actually have 2 to 3 highlighters per baggie so that if I get through one, put it aside and I keep reading and my flow and momentum is not interrupted. I value my focus time so much. I have everything ready. I have almost everything in 2s. The only reason I don't have pencils in 2s is because I just don't use them as often. Highlighters, I have 2 to 3 per baggie, and I got a 12 pack of these on Amazon, and they're like really cheap, really effective. I choose the thin ones because it's easier because of the amount of text on all of the pages that I read on, especially for something as like fine as the Tale of Genji. That paper is like rice paper, y'all. That is so thin and the lines are so crammed together. The text is so teeny and like crammed into the page. Having anything thicker would kind of highlight either multiple lines or would go through the page too much. So these are the ones that I have found. They are Bic Bright Liner, like just a standard one, and I always pick orange. If I'm reading like a sad gay book, like the ones that I pair with these kits, I try to pair up like the color of the pen and the color of the highlighter with the book. Research is very clear cut. There is a purpose and I'm trying to complete that purpose. My tools are effective, efficient. They are not frilly. They are to complete this purpose. So I use 2 to 3 in each baggie. Into the baggie it goes. These also I got on Amazon. They are Sharpie pens. I actually use these for these guys, which I will talk about in a second. But these are felt tip and they write very well on kind of coarser paper. So I use them more for this type of stuff, which I have them for each book box, for each book kit. So I have, I think, a 12 pack of these. I only have one of these per baggie because I only use them when I'm writing on the larger 12 by 18 sheet. In the baggie that goes. I also have an additional highlighter. It's either a blue or a purple. It's usually the darker highlighter of any like regular 4 pack that you can buy at the store. And I use them because dark highlighters I typically won't use. I tend to stay with pastels, yellows, oranges is probably the darkest I go on a regular annotation. I use these to like line out and partition these giant sheets, which I'll also get to. So 1 dark highlighter for those. In the baggie it goes. Now, this is where I will spend, oh my God, why is that so skinny? Okay, this is where I will spend a little bit of money. For the regular run-of-the-mill writing, I'm taking notes, I'm writing to-do lists, I'm doing anything related to my writing, I use a purple pen. And the purple pen I specifically get is 0.7 because 0.7 writes really well on these coarse papers, which I write a lot on, and it writes really well on these papers as well. It is a very universal size point. That's very important to me because for my annotation, I actually use 0.3, 0.34 or 0.38 at the most. My ideal is 0.3. Hold up. Okay, I actually went to go get the stuff that I actually bought. So I also from Amazon, right? I know it's evil, but it's so practical. But these are 12 orange highlighters that come in this Bic liner box. So these are for work. These are for my research, for my annotations. I bought this 12 pack of blue pens that are 0.35, which I think are fine because the ones that I've been consistently using are 0.38, I think, or 0.3, and they're a little too thin. So the problem is that it gets a little too fine and sometimes it tears through the page. Those fine points also don't write as well on this thicker, coarser paper, which is why I use the 0.7 in purple. This is a very universal size. Worst case, if you can only get one size, get the 0.7, or maybe even a 0.5. I choose 0.7 because I don't want it like running out or getting too thin on this. I rather get a thicker line, a thicker press because I also sometimes use them to like draw the outlines. So I need a nice solid point so that it doesn't like run out halfway through the lining, okay? So that's why this is 0.7. I would love to use 0.35 purple, but those are expensive. You can only get like one and it's like $4 or $5 a pen. So instead, I bought this 12 pack of 0.35 pens. I haven't tried them out yet because I still have pens that I'm using. Maybe I should actually try one out right now. Exciting, we're trying out a new pen. The very first page is where I like test out all of my stuff. Like, is this highlighter good? All right. Ooh. 0.35 it is, y'all. I am happy with this pen. I'm glad I bought 12. And the reason that I specifically use, well, actually, I'm not even gonna say that. I specifically don't use black. I don't use black ink because the ink on a book 9 times, almost 10 times out of 10, is black. I need to be able to very quickly identify where my notes are, especially if I'm sometimes writing over the text or if I'm crossing things out. I want to be able to very quickly see where I wrote something, especially if I reference it in my Quinndex. I want to say, okay, page 8, then it's probably here based on like the chapter that it lands in, and I don't want to have to be like, crap, where does my note start, or is that tail part of my end? Because I can get like really like scribbly with my handwriting. So I specifically use blue pens, or purple is great. I like using greens a lot, but I've refrained from using greens and reds specifically because of what those colors kind of like convey. So I don't use greens or reds unless I'm like marking crap out. So a blue pen of 0.35 thickness for me is my preferred because it helps me get really in the margins because my margins can get kind of tiny. And if they are nice, thick margins, I can put as many notes as I can in there. So 0.35 blue pens. And this highlighter box, this is what I do. Like, I have these chilling on my desk in a cup, and they're upside down so that I can just go grab them. I'm done with one highlighter. Before I put my book kit away, I replenish the highlighter or the pen that I've already consumed because my book kit needs to always be complete. Otherwise, I might run out of highlighter, or I might have a highlighter that's already in progress and not realize it. And my flow and my reading gets interrupted because I have to stop, go get it, come back, kind of recalibrate where I'm at. And I dislike that. If anything breaks my focus, I am very irritated. So I do everything I can to prevent that. These 2 pens are the ones that I'm currently using. They're 2 different colors, so I'm still debating on the color. Thankfully, I found that 12 pack. This is 0.3 and this is 0.25. That explains a lot. I've been struggling with the 0.25 because I write just so much. So, oof, that explains that. I might just have to finish the 0.3 and then just jump to the 0.35 one. But for now, these are the 2 pens that I have that are both blue ink, non-black ink at 0.3 and 0.25. Typically 0.35 is what I will be using moving forward. Into the baggie they go too. In an ideal world, I have a little thing of sticky notes in here. I have some like whiteout because I'm old and I still sometimes use whiteout. And I have a little ruler. But like I said, I tried to be economical and like little mini rulers, which is what I would ideally want. They're cutesy and expensive and I don't need it right now. I will reward myself later with that. So this is all I have right now in my baggie for my book kit. Into the book kit it goes. Part of my annotation. I have learned over time that the way I think best is by physically writing things down. That is just how my brain works. So my friend recommended these 12 by 18 inch like sketch pads. You can get them at Five Below. That's the only place I've been able to find them like this because I like them coarser. I did buy, because I'm gonna be drafting my Achilles retelling with these type of sheets, I did buy just like a 50 pack or a 500 pack or something like that on Amazon. And I have that downstairs. I don't know what the texture of the paper is, but when I'm dealing with a book that's going to be bound and is like 500 to 600 pages, I just have to, you know, get what's most economical. Otherwise this would get really expensive. But I get these at Five Below and I use them so much. So as you can see, I put the line through in the 0.7 purple ink. Maybe you can't. I put the line through in the 0.7 purple ink, and then I just highlighted the squares to kind of just break the page apart to organize my thoughts. Oh wait, which is the one that I've been using a lot? This is for the Collapse of the Bronze Age saga, the Collapse of the Late Bronze Age. So these are going to be the books that I write that cover 1700 to 1100-ish BCE. This is how I chart out my stories. Each page is like a book, each page is a scene, each page is a critical event that I want to either build a book around or it's going to be supporting a larger story. And I have them also broken out between years so that I can have a view of the contemporaries of the royalties that are ruling, like the Hittites and the Egyptians and, you know, Aegean, right? So that is what these are for. These also play a really important role in my outlining in general. One of the most challenging things about this timeline is that there is the historical timeline, obviously, and then there is kind of like the timeline that I will want. So I use these to kind of draft out my timeline. I have these for the Tale of Genji. Hold up. That's where this comes in. So I have these, what is this? Yep. I started this with the Tale of Genji. And I also have these for, no, I didn't start these with the Tale of Genji. I started these with, that is Quinn's Fairy Tales. This is Aha! I have a vampire trilogy that's been in progress, and I think I'm gonna write that in this next year because I don't have a fairy tale or a history that I'm focusing on. So I think this is the right time to at least write the first book. I outline best by physically writing things down. These sheets give me the ability to divide up my story between the 3 acts, which is how I think my stories. If my brain could be translated into something physical, it would be an Excel spreadsheet. I have to recreate that for every single story. Otherwise, I can't understand like beginning, middle, and end. I use these to kind of have like 1 sentences, quick summaries of where everything's going, and then I use the back for reminder of what the end goal of this particular book is, as well as the purpose of the plot and any open questions or research, and then here I fill it out as needed, right? These are kind of my go-to. And as you can see, everything is purple. So it was a little difficult for me to identify, so that's why I started with the purple ink, which I want to keep, and like the purple or the blue highlighter. This is a laptop bag that I got. And in this, I have all of these, right? So eventually, I'm going to get one for the Bronze Age. I'm gonna get one for the Aegean. I'm gonna get one for the Achilles retelling, and I'm gonna get one for the Epic of Gilgamesh retelling that I'm doing, and then one set in ancient Egypt. So I'm actually gonna order these baggies specifically so that all of these pages that I'm creating for all of these stories can all live in one place. This will also be where I store all of like the books that I disassemble. So I have about 3 copies of 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes, I believe. That story is critical to the way I view the women of the Bronze Age. So I'm gonna actually tear that book apart and rebind it in ways that make the most sense for my stories for reference. And I'm gonna use that as like a foil to what I'm reading in research papers. I'm gonna look at that as like, okay, so this is how Natalie Haynes, you know, characterizes Briseis or Cassandra. Do I agree with that? Do I not? What does the history say? I'm gonna put supplemental essays because I have so many essays and articles. I'm gonna print the most important ones, annotate them, of course, and put them in here so that when I need to go and look at my research, it's all in a single place. So that is what these are for. As I am actively putting these together, Quinn's Histories, look at that, look at that. One day, y'all, it's gonna be Quinn's Histories. It's gonna be so cute and gay. Okay, so while I'm building this out, I grab these little sheets that are still in progress, and as you can see, there are multiple. And these go in the book kit. And they're quite large. These go in here, and anytime that I'm reading that I have to cross-reference and I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't align with this book or this book, then I make a note and I like remember, right? So that's what this is. Because everything is nonfiction, and because this book has been so important, I keep 1177 BC, The Year Civilization Collapsed by Eric H. Klein, perpetually in my book kit. And I switch out the books that I am supplementing it. So this has been a lifesaver. I have used this book so much. It is one of the books that I've used the most in my research, and I'm so happy I got it. I was using it to cross-reference Penelope's bones. I was using it to cross-reference the war that killed Achilles. Now I'm using it to supplement after 1177 BC, which is the sequel to this book. So my book kit has 1177 BC and Penelope's bones. It has 1177 BC and the war that killed Achilles. Now it has 1177 BC and after 1177 BC. These are kind of the books that I use. I also use the encyclopedia to like reference articles. I'm like, I don't think that checks out. What did Trevor Bryce say? So I'm reading these. I have them both open. I have my encyclopedia open. But because they're in the book kit, they're all living in one place and it's easier not to make a mess. When I work also, like I spread out. I take over my entire kitchen table. I clean it, make sure nothing's dirty because God forbid something stains this. And I spread out. But once at the end of the day that I'm done and it's time for me to go to bed or time for me to go out and adult or something unfortunate, I put it all together in my book kit and it's safe in one place and it isn't like dispersed everywhere, right? I keep this book for reference, this book that I'm actively reading and annotating in the book kit as well. And the order in which I do this is actually kind of particular. I actually put these on top of these sheets to hold them down because I also don't want them to be like sloshing around and damaging. Not that anybody's moving either side from me, but you know, you never know. So, thus is the book kit thus far. We have the encyclopedia, the notebook, the little sheets, and the 2 books on top, one for reference and one that I'm actively reading. And the baggie, because it's like nice and flexible, I just fold it in half and then I tuck it in on the side, just like that. And this is the way my book kit looks every day at the end of each day. just like this. And that way, if I want to research something, or if I'm like, okay, well, I have time, it's time for me to read the Bronze Age, it's all in one place. I don't have to worry about it. And once I get these for the stories, I'm gonna just set it right on top of the kit because they're quite large. And this is how I work. Right now, this whole thing goes on top of the kit because it's part of my Bronze Age saga that I'm building. So this is something that I actually reuse quite a bit. I'm going to talk about something a little more special. I have been going in circles where the Bronze Age saga, where Quinn's histories and the queer retellings all start, finish, meet in the middle. Like, it's been really difficult for me to outline it. But there are 4 books that I am for sure gonna write, and those are gonna be romances. They're gonna be queer historical fantasy romances. I don't know if they're gonna be romantices, that's a little rough for me, but they're going to be romances focused on the relationships between Gilgamesh and Enkidu, on Achilles and Patroclus, on the first like documented queer couple in history, so we think, in ancient Egypt, and the story of Alexander the Great and Hephaestion. Those 4 books are going to have their own little booklets. In this book, I write like scenes that come up, researching. I have them divided by the relationships, the women, the settings, the gods. And because I'm always like talking about this with people, I have any references, any screenshots that I have to print out. I have a huge like running notes to-do list, like research this thing for whatever is happening. What does the art look like in the palace? And just running questions like that. So eventually this is going to hold everything that I need for when I start outlining my Achilles and Patroclus story right now. And then the next one I'm probably going to tackle will be the Epic of Gilgamesh retelling. And we're gonna have a similar book kit with the encyclopedias, with the texts, with their own little baggie, you know, and their own little book. So this is something that will probably only be relevant to like Quinn's historical romances. Quinn's histories will probably not have something like this because Quinn's histories are going to be focused on like epics and battles and, you know, the Battle of Kadesh. All these affairs and all of these like conspiracies. What is it? The Zanana affair? What the hell happened there? The harem conspiracy that ended the life of Ramses III, like in the early Iron Age, like all that kind of stuff will probably not get a cutesy little book. This is just me like kind of having fun and treating myself. So that's what this is. And I still have more stickers to collect on it. But this, because of its delicate nature, goes at the very top of the book kit as such. And then we just cover it. And that is everything I need for my research in one place. I am so happy with how effective that has been for me, how convenient, how clean, because I am constantly reading. I have 2 to 3 books in flight at the same time, nonstop, pretty consistently. For me to be able to organize my research in a way that I can quickly grab it, I can quickly reference it, is extremely important to me. And it also keeps me focused. Like I said, I don't like having the little time that I can dedicate to my reading interrupted by something as silly as my highlighter ran out. If I'm being interrupted by life, I'm being interrupted by my dogs, I'm being interrupted because my partner needs something, which I let him know, please don't need anything when I'm reading. Ask me before or after unless it's an emergency. But I protect my reading time very much, and I don't want to be interrupted by something silly that I could have prevented by a little bit of preparation. So that was like really behind the scenes and really irrelevant to almost anything else on my channel. I just wanted to be able to talk about my book kits because I feel so proud of them. And honestly, I'm probably gonna decorate all of this with like gay like stickers and stuff like that. I have a perpetual list in my cart on Redbubble of just like gay stickers because like, hey, gay Gilgamesh, they are there. Gay Achilles and Patroclus, please. Everyone that has like blazed the trail for queer history, like thank you to every author that did it first so that I can try it now. And I get stickers and I get art and I get all this beautiful stuff that just inspires me. I'm really happy. Also, if you haven't listened to it, please listen to it. Epic the Musical is about the Odyssey, and I have been listening to that on repeat for the last 2 months because that is the vibes that I'm bringing to my Bronze Age stories, to my Achilles stories, to my Epic of Gilgamesh even. Like fun content like that for like the Bronze Age, for anything that's not like classical Greece is not as common. So I've just been eating it up and I've been thinking like, what would Gilgamesh have done? You know, it's just stuff like that. Small things like that that have been feeding this whole research, which is why I've been able to move at such a great pace. But this is about the book kits, and these are my book kits, and I'm so excited. Actually, I can't wait when I upgrade to like cute stuff. But for now, this will do. This cost me like $7, I think. Maybe the box cost me like $5, and then the notebook cost me like $1.50. The baggie $1.50, and then the supplies that I can disperse between multiple cost me like $1 each. So these kits can probably be put together between $10 to $15. $20 if you want to get like fancy stuff. Like I said, the most expensive parts for me are my pens because I use them so much. Otherwise, if it's not a book that I need, I try not to spend money on myself. Like the only thing I spend money on is my books, to the point that I probably need new shirts. That's why I wear like the same 3 shirts on every video. It's not a priority to me. I just wanted to show off my book kit, and I love it, and it is quite heavy, and I'm very happy with it. Let me know if you found this helpful. Let me know what you thought, and let me know what you think about this and how you do research. I am always open to hearing how other people do research because I'm always up for making my stuff more efficient. I have so little time to dedicate to what I love. I want to make the most of it. So any help that you can provide, I appreciate it, and I hope that maybe this has helped someone too. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!